Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. EFCC will try bank CEOs over COVID funds and World Bank loans. Inflation records marginal rise at close of Q1. Sanwo-Olu tips APC to win Ondo poll. LNG supply, Shell tables claims against Venture Global, and NLNG faces arbitration hurdles. 4 CNG stations ready in Lagos. Why North Central should retain PDP chair slot by Suswam. Southwest governors take measures against agitators. And Chibok girls 10 years after an editorial. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay, let me start with the agitators. So the Southwest government yesterday took measures to avert the invasion by agitators for secession. And they said apart from beefing up the security in their state secretariats and government houses, they also warned troublemakers to desist from their nefarious activities or risk the consequences. And we know that the governor's decision was followed by an abortive attempt by some masked uniformed men to invade Oyo State Government Secretariat, Agodi, in Ibadan. And they tried to hoist the secessionist flag at the weekend. And also last night, the Yoruba Nation agitator, Sunday Adeyemo Igboho, disassociated himself with them, said the activities of those agitators should be investigated and the police should arrest them because he had no hand in it. Afenifere as well, led by Pa Ruben Fasorati, also decried the invasion and they are calling for penalties for the sponsors and perpetrators of the violence. Then across different Southwest states, they had something to say. For Ondo State's government, they said there will be no room for violent agitations and severe punishment awaits anybody that foment trouble under the guise of agitating for a Yoruba nation. If anybody is trying to work against the Nigerian state, they'll be treated as public enemy and harassed. Other states as well also spoke on it, but I think that's supposed to be one of our topics for today.
Sure. All right, so CNG stations, we're pretty excited. So one of the major petrol stations managing director, NIPCO Gas Limited, Mr. Nagendra Verma, said that there are 4 stations that compress natural gas, that CNG stations are already in Lagos. He was pretty excited about that. Said the federal government had started the initiative in promoting gas as an alternative to fuel. He affirmed the company's commitment to supporting the initiative. He spoke on the company's partnership with NNPC to build 35 auto CNG stations in phases. So the completion of these 4 stations in Lagos would resume operations between April and May to become the first of its kind in the state, which is now contending with long queues at filling stations. So I'm pretty excited about that. Many cars are yet to convert to CNG compatible, but eventually, hopefully, as these more stations begin to be have CNG availability, more cars will convert, and then we'll see how that'll be more efficient than using fuel. I'm pretty excited about that. Okay.
So I have the Anti-graft agency, EFCC, has intensified its investigation into the culpability of bank chief executive officers in the mismanagement of COVID-19 funds and World Bank loans. Also, under probe is the alleged mismanagement of recovered Abacha loot given to the Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development Ministry for disbursement to beneficiaries of the federal government support for the poor program. The agency explained this yesterday in a statement by its spokesman, Dele Oyewale, which clarified this investigation into the ministry. The EFCC also announced yesterday that it had received 32.7 billion naira and $445,000 so far from top officials of the ministry under its searchlight. Whoa. Shedding light on the probe of malfeasance in the Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development Ministry, the agency said at the outset of investigations, past and suspended officials of the Humanitarian Affairs were invited by the Commission on investigations into the alleged fraud involving them have yielded recovery of 32.7 billion and $445,000 so far. That's a lot. Discrete investigations by the FCC have opened other fraudulent dealings involving COVID-19 funds, the World Bank loan, Abacha recovered loot released to the ministry by the federal government to execute its poverty alleviation mandate. That's too much money being looted.
Yeah.
I hope that
investigations
I started relooting. The looted of
looting.
So I want to take the story about the Venture Global NLNG will be facing a few arbitration hurdles, and I'm wondering what that will portend for Nigeria, being that they are a major source of revenue for us as a country. The Shell has taken them to court in the United States for breach of contract, said that they didn't supply as much gas as agreed. Similarly, the United Kingdom too has taken them to a company in the United Kingdom has taken them to court in the United Kingdom for similar breach of contract by NNNG in terms of supply. They said that they are supplying other countries, they are supplying other people, and they did not comply with the contract they signed with them. They said they exported over $18 billion through in NLNG, but they didn't get what they had agreed on. So my worry is it that because, well, we need to get funds. So this new inflow of funds, if they indeed go ahead with this arbitration, they go to court, I hope they will not get a lawsuit that would favor this Shell and the other company against NLNG, which is a major financial contributor to the Nigerian economy. I'm hoping that we're able to correct it before we're now going to appeal on whatever punitive measure or financial challenge they put on us.
Okay, The Punch. Recapitalization race. Top banks target $3 billion fund in foreign capital markets. Let free Chibok girls reunite with families, community tells government. No five-star treatment for Bobrisky, says NSC officials. Iran, Israel, Nigeria, and G7 urge ceasefire. World leaders condemn attack. Yoruba Nation security beef up in Southwest government houses. Tariff hike. FG begs workers as electricity union insists on strike. Humanitarian Ministry, EFCC recovers fresh $445,000 and 3 billion naira. Labour asks federal government to unveil new minimum wage by May 1st. Okay.
Do we take Labour before we go on break?
Go ahead, yes.
Okay, so the organized Labour on Sunday listed its expectations ahead of the 2024 Workers' Day, and they were calling on the federal government to announce a new minimum wage May 1st. The National Vice President of the Trade Union Congress, Tommy Etim, was the one who spoke with the correspondents, and he described Workers' Day as Christmas Day for workers. And he said there were a lot of expectations, particularly since some of the newly initiated policies of the government had continued to push more Nigerians into poverty. He said the workers in the country were expectant of the new minimum wage especially. And he said, I quote, the Workers' Day is a type of Christmas Day to Nigerian workers, and there are a lot of expectations. The welfare of workers is paramount and should be taken into consideration. It's also expected that lots of incentives will be rolled out to cushion the effects of the policies initiated by the government, which have continued to limit the purchasing power of workers in Nigeria as a whole. So he says the purchasing power is presently very weak in the country, and they're expecting the minimum wage to help them cushion that effect. He also talked about the CNG buses that they are hoping will be launched very soon.
Okay, let's go on a short break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.